Everyone, it's our short documentary video, and today I'll be going through the 4 guides of how to defeat every single tier of Enderman Slayer, starting up from tier 1 all the way up to tier 4, and I will give you the best gear possible for each sword and each level. Alright, we're at the auction house now. The beginner setup that I used was extremely overkill. It was 3/4 Necron and Warden, but I don't believe you should be able to use that. I think at the minimum you should get strong dragon armor because it's overall pretty well rounded. You've got what? You've got 35 strength, 18 crit damage, and if you dungeonize that you get a little bit more. Full set gives more damage. When you teleport you get a little bit extra strength along with your AOTE or AOTV, and it's just overall pretty good. And tier 4s don't have that much health. If I ring it up real quick, you can actually see they shouldn't have that much. Yeah, they only have 300,000 health. It's a big jump from each one, but 300,000, I would recommend using something like the Void Sword. So let me grab that, and then I guess I'll grab some Ender Armor as well, because I believe that'd be the base, as well with like a, I guess I'd say like an epic tiger. Alright, and here we are. We have full Ender Armor with the Void Sword, no enchants of course. It's a co-op. It's only 200k. If you go all the way up to the top, there's gonna be a guy standing right here. He'll talk to me and he'll be like, "Hey, do you want this nice sword that's carried me through?" You can do some pretty nice damage, about 29k. Of course, that's a little scuffed because I have 655 MP. But I'm also using an epic tiger with like a weird pet level, just like your average skyblock player with Ender Armor. And then I've got my Ender stuff as well. I'm doing 29k, almost 30k. If I got them reforged up, it would be a lot easier to kill these guys. But it's pretty comparable to the 300k. You should be able to get them down really fast. So just remember, try to spawn any Enderman on this little flat spot for tier 1 and tier 2. I'll talk later about tier 3. Alright, first stage has 15 hits. Of course, you just want to go through, and sometimes people will just do that for fun. And you can do some pretty nice damage. You'd be surprised at how much damage you can actually do. See, it's pretty easy. But that guy helped me out a bit, but don't worry, that damage wasn't actually most of his. It was most of mine, so it's not that bad. You actually do pretty good damage in this. As long as you have a god pot and you can deal at least 30k, you can easily do. Alright, up next we have the tier 2 Voidgloom or tier 2 Void, whichever title you prefer. This one you can either grind in here where the 9k Endermen are, or if you deal enough damage, which I would highly recommend you change out from that Void Sword, to something like the Void Edge. Because Void Edge actually gives you ferocity. So I have an Atom Split, of course, because that's the max I'd recommend. But all the levels, like the Katana's pretty nice. So Void Walk Katana. I'd probably recommend getting Void Edge Katana for tier 2s. Good damage, get Fabled. Get all these enchants. They don't have to be like this max. I just have these because I like going overkill, but I would recommend at least having Hot Potato Bucks, Fabled, and then just the average like Sharp 5, Thunderlord. Some of them tier 6 because they're pretty cheap. And then I wouldn't recommend recombobulating it unless you have spare money. So the tier 2 is pretty easy. I wouldn't recommend going killing the 9k because that takes 85 kills as per the Zealot Bruiser hideout. If we go down here and we actually start killing these guys, it sinks into 44, so it halves your time. They have 65k health, but if you're able to deal that damage and you're able to spawn it, then that's good. I would also recommend, if you can somehow get your hands on Final Destination if you're doing tier 2s. Or I would probably say any dragon armor or shadow assassin armor like that dude's wearing. He's doing a good amount of damage. But I would recommend at least a Void Edge Katana, just because it gives you more damage and you receive less. It's overall pretty well. Now I'm going to be a bit overkill for this, and I'm just going to kill some of them. This one doesn't have many bosses, but in tier 3 it'll be a big jump. This one only has around 16 mil health. They used to have 15 mil, but don't worry about that. But I'll be back when I have the boss spawned. Alright, and I'm back. I've almost got all the kills. What I would also recommend is, instead from using a tiger, since that gives a little bit of strength, some crit damage, some ferocity, I would recommend getting at least like a legendary Wither Skeleton pet with definitely level 100. It gives 25 defense, strength, intel, 25 crit damage, and then 5 crit chance, and you deal 200% more. So it's pretty easy. I'm using Final Destination because it makes it a lot easier, but as I would say earlier, I would highly recommend using Shadow Assassin, just because it's so out there and it's so easy to access. So I'll try to get this boss spawned. First hits phase, you can probably just use your Void Edge, and then you back up. I would recommend placing down at least a Radiant Orb, but I just have an Overflux. You would be going through a lot slower. So that was a lot sped up version just because I deal a lot of damage. But onto tier 3, I would recommend, before we hop in, just check if you're subscribed. I would greatly appreciate that. These guides are a little choppy, but you might as well put in the effort. I'm putting in the effort, so you should too. So onto tier 3. Alright, so tier 3, you should obviously be here. You should be able to at least 2-tap them. This has 50 mil. That has 12 minutes. A very large jump. But I would say maybe Lion Pet if you have a Lion Pet, or you can still stick with your Wither Skeleton Pet. But I'm gonna go over to Lion. And Lion Pet, I just about 1-tap them, but right now you would be using the Vulpal Katana. So that's Enderman Slayer 5, and then I would assume you would also have some Ancient Final Destination as well. So that's pretty easy. This one also has many bosses. I believe they have 8 to, I think it's 8 mil. Yeah, it's like these guys right here. So you right click and then you crouch, and then now I would highly suggest getting a wand, any wand. So I have Wand of Atonement, but you can get like Wand of Mending. So Wand of Mending is 90 HP for 7 seconds, 90 hearts per second is a lie. Or you can potentially get Wand of Restoration if you're Zombie 6. I would not recommend any of like Wand of Healing, because that's way too low. Then I'd also say to get a Mana Flux Power Orb, because that gives you a lot more mana regen than the Radiant. It also gives 2% of your max HP per second, and plus 10. You do need Wolf 6, but it is really dependable. It's nice to have. I have an Overflux, which is absolute overkill, but you will not need that in tier 4. Recommended setup would be a Mana Flux, which is about 3 mil there. The Katana, which is about 6 mil there. That's already at 9 mil. And then probably 11 mil for the armor. And then if you grind the kills to like about 10,000, be there. So got about 11 mil right there. So I'd say about 30 mil in total if you want to get a really high level lion. And then any wand. And then right now I would actually recommend summons. So that's about 40 mil. Voidglooms are very hard to play. Even if you're early game, they will wipe you out mid game, maybe so. But I would recommend getting tank zombies from floor 3, not master mode, just because they have 8,000 HP. You get 2 of them, It's 26 mana. You can just despawn and respawn really quick. There's a 1 second cooldown for this, so you can spawn them in and out. And if you need to go back and use any healing, just right click and you back up. You hit a mob, you hit your mob, and they'll go towards it, and then you'll just heal. So it's very easy. I'll let you guys know once I get this tier 3 spawned. Alright, so now you have the boss spawned. I would recommend healing with any wand, maybe going and hitting it if you have enough health. And then of course place down your orb. It'll automatically despawn. You're going to want to crouch and heal while you do this because it will take a lot of health away. Once it goes back in that hits phase, just rinse repeat. Go back and heal. You can hit a couple times. I would recommend backing off a lot. The beacons, sometimes they'll throw them. Just rinse repeat. And then sometimes your mana flux may despawn since that's 30 seconds. So just get that. Look at these guys, by the way, and then make sure they don't throw Yangglyphs. Those are included in tier 2s, just I kill them a little quicker so they can't spawn them. Alright, now we're onto the big guns. The big of the big. Voidgloom Seraph tier 4, or tier 4 Voids. I would say to get at least a tier boosted Ender Dragon, something like that, or a full E-Drag. It'll cost you quite the amount. If we just get an Ender Dragon, search it up, it'll cost quite a lot, so doing these is not no walk in the park. Even a tier boosted one like this is 309. I would recommend getting like a level 90 or at least a level 100 like this one. So that's going to put you at 325 million right there. Your atom split's going to cost about 50 mil because you'd want Rockcraft is about 40 mil. You'd want to get you know, Swarm, Critical 6, Ender Slayer 6, like all the tier 6s. You don't need Ender Slayer. I would recommend at least 25k kills on your armor. And then, of course, Rejuvenate, put Ancient on all of it. Have your Atom Split on Fabled. If you want to go overkill, put Art of War. Probably about 500 mil in total, if you actually want to go big bang there. And then, of course, Overflux. You still need these guys, they're still relevant. I would recommend a Spicy Florid Zombie Sword. It doesn't have to be 5-starred, I just have that. I'd recommend Siphon to hold it just in case. Just in case you're not holding out your Atom Split. For any reason, you should always be holding it because it gives way less. You take 12% less damage. So that is a big decrease. Now let's get to spawning this boss. Alright, so I'm about to spawn the boss shortly, so I would recommend taking out your Summoning Ring, Wand of Atonement, and then have a Shelmet at least, or Looming with anti-knockback. Have your Overflux placed previously, or else you will die quickly. As you can see, my health is deteriorating rapidly just because I didn't place it down. At 175 mil health, it will deploy not the beacons, but the beams. I want you to avoid these all costs, or else it'll take massive chunks of health out of you. Not recommended if you do want to survive. Summons, of course, recommend using that float at least twice, just to get you back up there. Tap and run, this will actually bring the glyphs. You have about 5 seconds to grab it at 105 mil health. It will bring the beams in again, if you can get a couple hits. And extra, that will decrease the speed of it. It's probably going to throw about 2 or 3 more beacons, depending on how fast you are. But in this phase, when you have your Overflux, you can see it's about to expire. It just did. Place another one down. And this is without hype or any type of crazy healing like that. So now this will start throwing the Nukibi heads. Same thing like tier 3. I'm going to avoid those like usual. Of course, avoid that. There's sometimes in the sky. These ones, if they're stuck on that, you gotta jump up to them. Sometimes they might not work. And then last stretch, you just wanna try your hardest not to die. And just like that, completed a tier 4, just like that. And you got 20 seconds left on your reflux. Took 102 seconds, but hey, if you want 500 XP and you want to get Terminator like me and you want to do master mode and all that fun stuff, then it's definitely worth the grind if you can get all this stuff. So the things that I have is a little overkill, but if you manage to have a hype, then you can kill these bosses way faster. I would also recommend having in my hotbar, I have Weird Tuba, Overflux, sort of bad health, doesn't matter, just as long as it's sort of bad health. Wand of Atonement with Ultimate Wise 5 would be max. I have Ultimate Wise 3 because I'm lazy. Of course, Spicy Floor, you can put an Ultimate Wise on it if you want. 70 mana doesn't cost anything. You can use a Necromancer's Sword, Reaper Scythe, or Summoning Ring, it doesn't matter. But as long as you have 2 tank zombies from floor 3, it's pretty cheap. It says 9.5, so about 10 mil. And of course, you know, you want your Atom Split Katana recommed. You want all of your armor definitely recommed with Rejuvenate on all of it. I prefer Last Stand. That's pretty good. But if you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and then share to your friends. Always, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.